Freshworks listing at the Nasdaq has been a watershed moment for India's startup ecosystem. It has put India on the map when we talk about startups as well as, of course, SaaS. To talk more about this, I am being joined by the renowned investor, Shekhar Kirani, who is in New York City. He went there to see the Freshworks co-founder and CEO Girish actually ring the bell on the floor of the Nasdaq. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from the Big Apple to talk to us about the Freshworks story. You know, urban legend has it that you actually went and wooed successfully Freshworks when it was just 6 employees strong. Do you remember that first meeting? How did you ever even hear about Freshworks, then called Freshdesk?
Great question. First of all, congratulations to every startup founder anywhere in the world, as well as especially in India, who are dreaming big, because this is a story of a journey of 10 years where Freshworks started in a very humble beginning and now is able to demonstrate to the world that if your ideas are right, your intent is right, and you work with the right partners and teams, you can build a world-class company pretty much anywhere from the world. So it's a great day for all of us to celebrate. Thank you for this opportunity, NT, for having this conversation with me today. Yes, you know, this is a journey that started in 2011 as a partner in Accel, where we have been an early stage investor. We came to know about Girish. He had reached out to one of my colleagues, Anand, and then we said, okay, but I was looking at this software as a service as a category. Anand said, why don't you go and talk to him? And I exchanged some emails with Girish. Girish was in Chennai. He said, I'm coming and meeting you. So I took a day trip from Bangalore. We were based out of Bangalore to meet him. And I was in a small home office, which is like a first floor of an office, you know, with different colored building, you know, like a regular suburb, small office, low rent, so that, you know, he could save money for the right things. And there were 6 of them, Girish and Shan, 2 co-founders, plus 4 employees. Went there to meet with them and exchanged lots of ideas. It was a day trip in the sense I had planned to meet and spend time the whole day with them. This is the time where, because I have to make a decision on that day, so I spent time with Girish, Shan, and his team. How are they thinking? What they have been there? And went out for coffee, sat with the team members, went through lots of back and forth Q&A, and trying to assess, is this an investment for Accel, and why this could be one day a big company? Few things that I remember vividly even today. One, it was an office where they had assembled with a simple set of furniture, that second-hand furniture with different colors and different shapes. So they had saved money for that, but they had bought all new Macs. So which I knew that, okay, they know where to put money for what use. That was one great thing. And secondly, for everything, Girish would come up with a story, why he started, how he would start, why he believes this is like, you know, his whole journey of starting this startup, about his challenge he faced with his TV going bad, and you know, social power of social. So all those things, he was a great storyteller. That was for me a very important thing. And third is kind of an ability to spot talent. So he's a great storyteller, ability to, you know, spot talent. He brought the best of the 6 people together with him to start this company. And obviously very young, very early, they had just some beta customers, no revenues yet. And, you know, a lot of back and forth Q&A, and we decided to invest in this young startup, which was unheard of by anyone else at that time, unheard of as a category itself, SaaS, not only in India, even globally. Other than Salesforce and ServiceNow and a few like Zendesk, few were there, but not a large companies were built yet. So this is very, very early days for us and for Girish. And it has been what a journey for all of us. Very fortunate to have partnered with Girish in this journey from like 2011 until now, and hopefully for another next 10 years.
So you're one of the perfect guys to actually track Girish and Freshworks' journey as well. They're putting the money into the right things, which are the new Macs, and not bothering with fancy furniture and fancy real estate. But something else that you told me, he has a great ability to spot talent. I think anybody who's interacted with Girish or has worked with Freshworks has always said one of the biggest takeaways is that for him, his team is his family. He doesn't want to do things alone. He wants to take everyone along with him, that he stayed humble then all through this entire journey of becoming a decacorn and this, that, and the other. But when you say ability to spot talent, tell us more.
Yeah. So when I asked him, how did he pick the remaining 4 folks who came on board along with him? And he had a very sharp reasoning, saying that I need one of the best DevOps person. Here is one person who knows how to run infrastructure very efficiently, Shekhar. Individual contributor, young, but there was a high trust. Okay, that's one person. Here is a customer support empathy guy. He loves customers and solving their problem. And building a customer support product, I want to have a world-class support empathy person. So here is another guy. And the third person was about go-to-market. He is really good in SEO, content, and marketing and all. I would like to have him on my platform. So he had reasoning he didn't pick like, okay, anybody whom I know, trust, let me figure out what they do. Instead, he knew the best of each person and how they fit into his early journey. And Sean, very quiet. He doesn't speak much, but Girish had such a high respect for his technical chops. He's saying, whatever I dream and imagine, he will deliver, Shekhar. So that's the reason I want him as my co-founder. So he was the second person to join Girish. So those two started. So, it was very obvious in the very first conversation that he won't hire anybody because he knows them. He would hire them because they're really good at something. And many times he was saying that the person may think something else is good, but Girish thinks something else is good. They would move him into that role. And there have been, stories after stories where he has moved customer support people to HR and HR people to engineering and engineering people to sales. And they've kind of flourished inside Freshworks.
So he believes in rotation, or he's able to figure out they actually should do sales and not HR or
agreed. So what he says is, God doesn't make everybody, best in everything else. They'll put always something really good in each one of us. But many times we don't realize that part, and he is really good in that. He's saying like a buffet. If people are good at something else, let them gravitate towards it. And he would give all the benefits, all the training, whatever is required. And local movement has been, very high inside Freshworks. And, he's able to kind of unleash the power of people where they're really good at something, but they themselves may not know, or they had never seen the opportunity. And he opens that up inside the company. And that has been one of his core strengths as a leader, to spot talent and bring best of those talent and extract value out of those.
He's also believed to be, I've heard, very decisive, quick thinker.
Yes. So he goes by, he's a heart leader. What I call it as a heart leader, not a analytics oriented, analyze every possible case leader. He looks for what is the best for, he always had this priority. So decision-making framework for him is, number one, employees. He cares about employees. That's always his number one. Next is customers. And third is investors. And his reasoning was, Shekhar, if I build a great employee base and high interest, high motivated people, they will take care of customers. If I have great set of customers and great employees, guess what? Investors will be happy. So I will not make a decision against my employees or against my customers if it is about investors. So it's always in this priority. So what happens is, any conversation, everything else, he would look at, okay, is it benefiting employees, benefiting my customers, benefiting investors, and then appropriately would make decisions very fast. Very top-notch decision making, as you said, super fast in terms of making choices, what is right for the company.
And there's a lesson, right? It started from Chennai in a way. Girish and Freshworks has put Chennai on the map. And now you talk about SaaS being, a hub, Chennai being a hub for SaaS. He's now, of course, in California. They are spread to other cities. What were the initial days like? Was it difficult working out of Chennai?
Yeah. So, at that time, when you're talking about 2007 on, Flipkart was in Bangalore. All the startups, modern startups in India was happening in Bangalore at that time. Anything tech oriented was happening in Bangalore. So I used to always ask him, Girish, is this the right place in Chennai? Where are you going to find the talent? Should you move to Bangalore? That was the one, or my early question to him. He said, no, Chennai is fine, Shekhar, because we know enough people and we can get started. Later we can open up. But what happened is in early days, in I think second half of 2011, where he had started, we had funded. Then he said, I need a fantastic designer, but the designer I love is in Bangalore and he is not willing to move to Chennai. So he came over a weekend, and myself and Girish went through schools for his kids and where to stay and where the office is, so that he was willing to move his entire office to Bangalore so that he can get this one talent of the designer, because he knew that if the product doesn't look world class, pixel perfect, where people believe that this is as good or better than a valley based product, he knew that he won't win in the long run. So he wanted the best of the designer that he knew. And he came. We almost made a decision to move to Bangalore, but the designer later felt that hey, if a company is willing to move just for me, something is wrong. I don't want to carry that burden. So let me go back and join them in Chennai. And that person is still there with the company today, runs the entire design. You can see the finish, the polish is all because of that. And the right choice, right move. And thanks to that. And then, he decided to stay back in Bangalore. Sorry, in Chennai. So he decided to stay back in Chennai. And that was a story for me to say how much he's willing to move to get the right talent.
And how fast did he grow? Do you remember the early years?
Yeah. So remember earlier we used to joke a lot about it. With one of the key discussion I always had with Girish is, can we do 2x the growth at half the cost? What it means is, if somebody charges $100, you charge $50, and half the cost worldwide, equivalent product, and let's grow 2x. If you grow 2x, it will grow very well. So, month on month, he was growing between 8 and 12 to 15% every month. So up to $1 million, he grew, it took some time to get that thing, but $1 million to 100 million, I think this is one of the fastest growing company in the world until he hit 100 million. I think he was in the top 5. Now there are a lot of companies now which have grown to 100 million much sooner, but he made it in a much faster pace. In fact, there is a blog article written. I will share that with you so you can post it. But it is an extraordinary journey of growth, because once the product market fit was there, an excellent product, he knew the customers, he had an ability to grow very fast by targeting to specific customers across the globe. Day one, it was built for a global market. It was inexpensive, freemium, easy to use. First 2-3 users, you use it for free forever. Only when you go to the 4th user, you start paying. All the right decisions, he made helped the company grow wickedly fast.
And it's amazing that he grew so fast. And people say he's still so humble. And he's always, he's famously said, I want each of my employees to have a BMW. The ESOPs have, generated so many crorpatis and millionaires overnight. But Shekhar, I want to also ask you that Freshworks and what it has now achieved, listing at the Nasdaq, the kind of growth stories had, what's going to be the rub-off impact on the startup ecosystem and for investors like yourselves?
Yeah, this is an extraordinary moment. First of all, global investors have been always worried about what would be the future of startups coming out of India, thanks to listing of venture-backed companies in Indian market. Now in a global market, I would say India has arrived, and it's a great moment for founders in India to build, and dream big. You need an example of what is possible. With Freshworks already being an iconic company in India, a lot of other SaaS companies, including many backed by Accel, are following Freshworks' footstep. Right now, in our own portfolio, we have 5 unicorns in SaaS. Across India, there are, I think, 11 or 12 unicorns, and several are in making. and there are at least 2,000 SaaS startups in the country today. So if you look at the size of the population, it's an amazing movement that is happening. What you saw in terms of services companies mushroom in India about 3 decades back and build these massive companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and many of them. You should anticipate that a massive number of companies, product driven companies, coming out of India for global markets in the next 1 and 2 decades. Very exciting times for founders to be able to dream big, and there is enough money, enough accessibility of capital, enough accessibility of market exists today. When Freshworks started, not many things were there. In fact, we have to go outside India to raise money for Freshworks in the second and third rounds. But right now, there is so many investors in India willing to back founders. They have big dreams and good execution. Unbelievable times to be a great SaaS founder today in India.
Do you think that India will ever have a SaaS company which is bigger than Salesforce?
Our hope is that, see, if the foundation is there and the legacy is well established in terms of what is possible, what is not possible, the foundation and the durability aspects is what Freshworks and including many other companies are looking at and what they have to build. And as we look at the number of companies and types of companies coming out, the markets and TAM sizes are really big. Some of these companies that we are seeing attacking the market. So our hope is that, one day we should see a significant, large market size with a, public listed company coming out of India as big as some of the big SaaS companies that exist today.
For you as an investor, you're of course smiling all the way to the bank, as are the founders and the employees of Freshworks. But as an investor, what have been some of the lessons that you have learned from Freshworks and the founding team?
Yeah, it is both ways of conversations. I might have had at least, 5,000 conversations plus with Girish over the journey. So I'm constantly picking how he is thinking, and he is speaking constantly how I have been thinking. And it has been a mutual respect and friendship that has gone deeper in terms of conversation of what works and what doesn't work. And he has been able to explain to me the psychology of the founder. Recently he commented to me saying that I wouldn't have trusted with $1 million myself, Shekhar. Thanks for trusting me with that first 1 million check. Because he said, I know I may be good, but outside in, you may find me better. But I always had, as a founder, will I make it big? Will I succeed? And those doubts will be always there in the mind. And thanks for being there on the same side of the table and supporting me throughout the journey. And see, that insights is hard to come by. So learning has been on, in terms of teams, in terms of recruitment, in terms of talent, in terms of the product strategy, go to market, and opening offices across the globe. And most importantly, how to build multi-product, scalable SaaS product companies out of India, especially taking advantage of being present in India. See, and all being equal, we need to have some advantage over other companies for these companies to become large and big. And we saw that possibility and a reinforcement of that for me and my firm Accel. So we now have at least 1/4 of our investments are all global SaaS companies. Thanks to Girish and team, everybody is a believer inside Accel as well to say we will build global SaaS companies out of India.
And do you think that because of COVID and what has happened and the phenomenon that we've seen, that do you think these SaaS companies can build for India and the world from India without having to maybe open offices in America and things like that?
So for mid-market and SMB customers, you are able to do it. Many of our companies start that way. In fact, Girish also never had an office outside of Chennai for a very long time. Only when he started building scale, then they started opening first European office and then in the US office. But if you're going after large enterprises, eventually you have to open up some local offices because customers feel comfortable when they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars with you if they have some sort of a local presence or a regional presence. So I would say it's not as bad as previous before COVID times, like, I want to come and meet you, fly face to face. Instead, even Zoom call, but in-region Zoom call, in-region connectivity, a local presence gives comfort to the customer, saying that, hey, in case of emergency, I can depend on this team to support and serve me versus being quite far away.
You said you and Girish and Freshworks sat on the same side of the table. That's despite investors being number 3 on his pecking order after employees and customers. Shekhar, will this marriage continue post the IPO?
Yes, this is, I remember a conversation with Girish at, 17, I think 17 or 18. I asked him, like, you're starting to scale, you're at a level right now, you'll start getting some offers on the table for acquisitions, or you want to go all the way out, build a durable long-term company and a potential IPO. And, it was a very heartful conversation for him, because that will choose in which way he would like to go. And me, as third in the pecking order, I said, I will support whatever you would like to do. So he said, I want to build a legacy. I want to build a durable long-term company that puts India on the map and establishes that it is possible for anyone to build a global company. From his point of view, the journey has just started. This is a great milestone to take a breathing, enjoy the moment, but he's on a path to build a large company, a legacy company, and a durable company, hopefully that outlasts Girish as well. So that's the goal. And this relationship is strong and long term, and we will be there with him as long as we can be together.
What's your favorite Freshworks story or Girish's story? What's your favorite one?
The favorite Freshworks story, there are many of them. The one story is, there was in between a little bit where Girish started getting vulnerable, especially when Indian consumer companies were getting funded left and right at $1 billion valuation. I think it's 14, 15 time, or Flipkart also got funded, Myntra and all of them. Then, he called me one day and saying, Girish, Shekhar is should I be doing a consumer company? Nobody even still worried about SaaS. I said, your time will come. And then this movie comes, Apna Time Aayega. That is where, he caught up and saying, Shekhar, time is ours now. So, extraordinary stories, ups and downs, always there in any startups. But overall, I would say is a journey of, hundreds and hundreds of small stories all stitched together to make into a great experience of this 10-year journey so far, and hopefully another 10 years in the coming decade.
And with that, Shekhar Kirani, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out and for joining us here on ET Now. It's a big moment for Accel also. It's a bet you guys made back in the day, which has turned out to be gold, if not platinum.
Thank you for this opportunity, and thanks for telling the story of Freshworks to the audience in India as this moves up and continues to support the needs. We are here to support other startup founders as well, and so does many other investors in the Indian ecosystem who are very excited about supporting the founders who are thinking big and dreaming big. Thank you.
Thank you so much.